You're more than welcome to sit. Yeah, sit.
Sit?
Yeah, it's up to you if you prefer to stand.
I feel strange putting my back to all these people. Okay. Hello, my name is Ann Evans, and I'm a kindergartner at Farley. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to first acknowledge that it takes courage and commitment to serve as elected volunteers on public school boards. So thank you. I also appreciate being your parents, and you care deeply about how to protect your own children and to inspire in them the values you wish to see as they grow. In each role, the responsibility you have is immense. You are stewards of a sacred trust. School would be different that day. I told her that some kids in her school were sick. And to be safe, everyone would be wearing masks to take care of each other, just as most of us are now. With wide eyes, she looked up over her cereal and solemnly nodded that she understood. At the end of the week, I was stunned to learn that the health order had not, in fact, been carried out, allegedly at the superintendent's knowing direction, and despite clear communication to families about what they could count on. I then had another difficult conversation with my daughter. But Mama, she asked, why did the principal and my teacher say that the parents could decide? Aren't all of us supposed to be wearing masks? That she had to ask this question, that she had to question the sincerity of the adults in charge of her school, breaks my heart. It's comforting that Farley's is now doing what the district and health department originally agreed to. But this relief does not alleviate my bewilderment about why this happened. My concern is not dominated by my opinion about masking. Instead, my concern is about something more fundamental. It's about trust. Not enforcing a legal health order when you said you would, and leaving hundreds of families misled for nearly a week defies what our school leaders should embody when making decisions about our children, whom we entrust to you. Without trust between the school board and its constituents, between the superintendent and the community, our relationship as partners cannot be effective.
Thank you.
I have a little more.
Again, I appreciate your comments, and you're correct that had we not followed the mandate or had we ignored it, there would be a trust issue. What I would encourage you to do, if you have a trust issue, is look to the people who told you that we were in violation, that we were ignoring it. Perhaps the trust issue is better served asking them why they said that. Because again, we have letters from the county and we have letters from the health department. Two of us here have children at Farley's as well. We have a vested interest in making sure that the kids at Farley's are safe. I understand your frustration, but again, I'm asking them to just follow. We were up to code according to the county. So you guys can choose to believe what you want, but you can ask the county and the county health department, and they will tell you the same thing, that there was no violations of the mask.
That is not my understanding.
It's okay, you can ask the county health
Does
department.
everybody here agree with that? What are you saying?
Our statement that we read at the beginning about that week being reviewed is where we
being
stand with
reviewed.
that. We can't,
So you all
because it's under a
agree
legal matter.
that, you all agree that you are in compliance with the health order from November 1st
The county health
to November
department,
5th?
the county health department has made that statement.
Okay, I don't want to take up more time, but I
Thank
think
you.
there's a lot of disagreement.
That's fine, you can ask the county.
Okay.
Alyssa?
Just to preface this, I am making my statement on the assumption that yes, as of November 8th, when the county showed up in the school, we were in compliance. However, the county showed up in the school on November 8th because compliance was called into question for the previous week. So just to preface, that's where I'm starting out as. My name is Alyssa Olson, and I'm a parent of 2 children at Farley. Thank you for providing the opportunity to comment today. I'm very disappointed in your initial failure to implement the health order as written. Regardless of one's feelings on masks, the failure here is the district's blatant disregard for implementing policies as communicated. The order was only implemented when a concerned district employees spoke out. There was significant outcry from the community, and the Summit County Health Department intervened to ensure compliance. If you had legal concerns with the health order, you had 2 months to explore that before the threshold was met. While there have been discrepancies on how the numbers were counted, once the district acknowledged that the threshold was met and notified parents that the mandate had gone into effect, it was your responsibility to implement it as written. Instead, the district directed the school to not implement the mandate while parents were erroneously led to believe that it was in place for an entire week of school. Parents deserve to have honest, factual, and timely information regarding their children's health and safety while at school. Your failure to provide this information not only put students and staff at risk, but also broke the community's trust in the school board and administration to act in a manner consistent with your duties as public employees. Your decision to undermine the implementation of the public health order has significant ramifications. Potential additional exposures mean that children miss school and have their education interrupted. Teachers have to put together additional learning materials for students who cannot be in class. Parents have to scramble to manage childcare and work. Exposed students had to miss vaccine appointments. Health department employees who have been working tirelessly to get vaccines in this community so that we can finally stop having these conversations had to take time away from work to be on site at Farley's. We heard from the school board for the first time last night. While the letter highlights that Farley's is found to be in compliance a week after the order should have gone into effect, it fails to mention that had the district acted appropriately, an inspection would not be necessary in the first place. We are still waiting for a clear explanation for why the district directed Farley to not implement the order as written and to understand why parents were misled. You owe the community honest and timely communication and need to demonstrate that you can and will uphold the duties of a public employee in the River Park City Schools. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I respond to this? Thank you, first of all, and I appreciate that you said the context. We're going to clarify something. We have made our statement that we are not talking about what happened with Leaf One, and we're reviewing that. We are under legal advice not to. And that is why we haven't said more. You wouldn't want us, we're public officials, and as the county has stated, it's under review as well, and we're going to wait until they've done their due diligence and not be able to speak on that. That would happen for any legal matter. So I appreciate that you can understand that our response right now is based on that.
No, I understand that, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate your willingness to hear from us.
Yeah, great, thank you.
Jacqueline.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jackie Carey. I am the parent of a first grader at Farley's Park. I also have 2 other children who are going to be Farley's Park students someday. One of those children happens to be immunocompromised. So, I, like many families, sent our child to school the week of November 1st, not only believing that the school is under a mandatory mask mandate, but also believing that mandate was being enforced and properly modeled by staff. You can imagine my shock and frustration to find out that this was not the case. The board's own vision statement states, Park City School District is student-centered with a focus and emphasis on the full child. Our students are safe, supported, engaged, challenged, and healthy. The district's initial blatant disregard for the implementation of the mandate is a great example of the failure of its own vision. The safety and health of each child at Farley's was not taken into consideration. As a matter of fact, it was disregarded completely. The PC School District has lost the trust of many of us in the community, and I'd like to know the district's plan moving forward on regaining our trust. I'd also ask the board and superintendent to address the root cause of the mistakes made the week of November 1st. As it's been said already, if your team has any questions about the legality of the enforcement of this mandate, why did no one communicate with the health department directly? And then, at that point, keep parents 100% informed every step of the way. Why the secrecy if it truly is a misunderstanding? I encourage the district to keep COVID mitigation protocols in place until after the return of Christmas and New Year's break. I'd like to point out that the feelings of myself and many others in the community regarding COVID and our children's health is neither misguided nor fear-based. They are based on education and science. Finally, the district speaks of a reset. Maybe it's time for the reset of the board and the superintendent. Thank you.
First, I want to say I'm encouraged by some of what you said earlier, less so by a lot of what else has been said. I'm going to touch on 3 core issues: leadership, trust, and the duty of care this board and the school district has to our children. But first I want to relay what I saw at Harvard Park in the first week of November, after the last mandate was supposed to be enacted. I was out of town the first 2 days of that week, in England, putting my dad's ashes in the ground. He would likely still be alive today if not for COVID. On Wednesday evening that week, I picked up my son from Camp Falcon at Parlis and saw that not even half the people there were masked. Thursday, I counted 14 people in the room, only 6 of them masked, with no distancing. Friday, there were still children unmasked there. A full week before compliance was confirmed, with the virus left to run rampant through that school. I think that background is important because that's a perfect demonstration of what will happen if you don't enforce public health orders. We live in unprecedented times, times that require leadership, and the silence from this board over the past 2 weeks was deafening. Because of the messaging related to the students at Parlis that week, children, staff, their families, and the community more broadly were unnecessarily exposed to this virus. Now, I know some people, including some here I'm sure, will argue that COVID presents little risk to elementary school kids. What about the ones it does present a risk to? What about their families? What about vulnerable members of the community? My son was born with respiratory issues. What about his right to an education as free as possible from avoidable health risks? Still, nobody has really taken ownership of the decisions that were taken. But it took a whistleblower, media pressure, and direct enforcement from the health department and county attorney for the public health order to be followed. And public outcry to get you to listen to us now is unconscionable. That is an abject failure of leadership. When you will join this board, you were given trust. Trust that you would, among other things, safeguard the health and safety of our children in school. That trust has been broken, and you have considerable work ahead to regain it. A good start would be full visibility into case counts. What cases are being counted? How can we project numbers for cases that are not being counted? What cases are even being tested? And as I understand it, you aren't counting some of those that are, depending on the test itself. That information is vital to our ability to take decisions to protect our children, families, and friends. As parents, we rightly assume the school system will exercise a duty of care over our children. In the first week, In the first week of November, the school district abdicated that duty. I remain very angry about that, as I know others here do. I want this pandemic to be over. We all want this pandemic to be over. But it isn't, and it won't be until people in leadership positions take it seriously. I sincerely hope we will see a level of leadership that is different in kind going forward. Thank you.
No work to do there. Got it. Karen?
Hi, my name is Karen Marcuse. I have 3 children at Jeremy Ranch Elementary School. I did not prepare remarks today because I wasn't exactly sure what I would say until I got here and listened myself. But I think it's important for the board to know that there are parents outside of Parlis as well who are concerned about what happened with the public health order, and who are also feeling like we've been left in the dark about why what happened did happen. And we feel worried because Jeremy Ranch is likely to, or I feel worried because Jeremy Ranch is likely to be in the same position very soon based on the numbers on the COVID dashboard. And I think it's important for parents to, as a community, to be reassured that the school district will follow the mandate that was set out. I understand that you can't comment. I think that is very disruptive to the process because I would hope and believe that a lot of this could potentially be cleared up if comment was made by the district or the board or the superintendent. And I feel disappointed that the only comment that has been made was to say that the mandate was upheld when there has been direct evidence to the contrary. I ask that we can be assured that our children will be safe. My children did remote learning last year, and the irony isn't lost on me that they are less safe this year than they would have been at school.
So true.
Last year, I felt like the district did an incredible job keeping the children safe. And in hindsight, I wish my kids were there. And this year, we didn't have the option of remote learning. I sent my kids in person. And I feel like, unfortunately, there hasn't been the same protections in place. So, you know, in closing, this is a law that was put in place to exercise these mask mandates at the threshold is reached, and I hope that that will be observed in the way a law is meant to be applicable. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I just respond quickly to that? First of all, I appreciate the shout out to last year. It's the same leadership, and we didn't change our same goal. So again, it's not that we won't ever have comment about week one. We're reviewing it so we can have comment. We are just following a process that is assuring that it's diligent and properly, I mean, the review of all sorts of correspondence, communication with the county is happening, and that's why we're not commenting yet. It's not that we won't, and it's not, we're just not going to do that until we have the right answers and accurate ones.
You don't want to expect it to be.
That's the, I mean, the county's investigating, so it's not us, up to us. Yeah, but it's on a fast time. Yeah, so thank you.
Andrea Buchanan.
I'm Andrea Buchanan. I have 2 children in Harley Park. And I started my remarks too just by saying that, you know, thank you guys for last year. I'm so proud to send kids to school and brag to so many people across the country who I know were remote learning, mostly in Los Angeles. And I was so proud and happy that I lived here and could do that safely. And I'm also on the safety committee at Harley Park, so I'm the person doing like a carpool line those days, which is really hell. But anyway, fun, but you know, cool. And I'm there most mornings, and I heard the announcement on the report, and I was gobsmacked. Absolutely freaking gobsmacked. How could this be? Parental choice, you know. So I spoke to the person who made the announcement, and she said it was, you know, came down from the district. And I, you know, to say disappointed is such an understatement. And I understand what you guys are here saying, that you cannot comment, and that you followed all the orders, but what we saw was completely the exact opposite. I don't know who didn't follow the orders, but the orders were not followed, period. So that's what I saw it, I heard it with my own eyes. And we just want to know why. Some article that came out 2 days ago, the whole department saying they're doing numbers, was it 2 days versus 14 days versus, what the heck? We were all so confused. It doesn't need to be this confusing. Like, and if it's a positive test, it's only positive, it's lab results versus, but you can go back to school with a rapid test. Like, last year it was so clear, and this year it is unclear. And it's very scary to be this unclear. I know one family with 6 positives in their family. It's like, this is not over. We're all so sick of it. No one is more sick of it than you all and the teachers and the nurses and the doctors. But parents are sick of it too. We're sick of the mental health. We're sick of the disparate, you know, opinions and the crap it's causing in our community, whether these work or not. We knew they worked last year. We knew what you were doing worked last year. And all we're asking for is for the same thing. I understand that we live in a state that created laws that make it nearly impossible. So that's why we're here. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Ken.
Hello, my name is Jimmy May. This is a statement in support of the board and the superintendent. The Summit County Health Department used its authority granted by the legislature to make rules intended to protect students and staff. According to news reports, personnel actively prevented these rules from being implemented. These reports are false. They're liable on all of you. The energy invested in these misunderstandings is terrible, and I'm seeing the angst in your faces and your voices, and it's horrible. Not that you're horrible. The angst is, the misunderstandings are. I'm going to be clear there. I don't know what's behind this. Our schools are open and our kids are safe because of you guys, and despite endless objections from a whole lot of folks who have it otherwise. An article in KPTW cites the utter confusion from the county health department. How can you guys be responsible for that confusion? It's just not clear to me. And as reported by KPTW, the health department officials themselves were confused as to the calculation of the 2% threshold, thus leaving even the school nurses at parties confused, the reporting methodology. The confusion lasted only a few days. According to, as we all know, Park record, parties passed muster when the health department came on site and investigated. As I understand it, the policy has been followed every step of the way. The health department and the school district will continue to partner together along with parents to make sure our kids are safe and policies complied with. You guys are responsible for thousands of kids and hundreds of staff. You opened our schools despite vociferous objections and have kept our kids safe. Dr. Jill, you're an educator. Focused on teaching, learning, curriculum development, 21st century learning that will lead to the success of all of our students. You're not the one who should be blamed for this. You mandated for this. You all followed directives which were put in place to the best of your abilities. I'm saddened by the energy consumed by these misunderstandings. I make a practice of assuming good intent when dealing with people. Much of this would have been avoided if more people had done the same. I'm unsure what the motive behind the hysteria is exactly. I respect the parents who feel that their kids are safe. But one thing is sure, many in the community do trust you, the board and the superintendent. I look forward to working with all of you and all of you moving forward to make sure that not only our kids are safe, but they get the education that they deserve. Thank you.
Hey, Charles.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel. I'm a student in the Park City School District. I am here in support of the superintendent, Dr. Jill Godet. I'm also here in support of every member of the school board. Probably going to have a little insider knowledge. Okay, so I am just grateful for the fact that you have an open discussion where this community can come and address the school board. Because in many places in the U.S., that doesn't exist anymore because of problems that have come forward. I also am so grateful for the fact that if members of the community, your faculty, or anybody else has an issue, that they can address the issue with the superintendent, with faculty, with the school board to get that addressed. And when we have a problem, the goal is to address the problem and find a resolution. And I'm so grateful that we can do that here. I think people want to become hyper-focused on certain issues. And while we always want to make a big deal about that, we need to look at the overall good that's being done as a whole in this district. This district should be so proud of itself for the fact that we had school last year, when many, many, many other districts did not. Our kids continue to receive a top-level education, and that is something that this board, this district, and especially our superintendent should be proud of. You have continued to work, Dr. Gilday, to bring top-notch personnel to this school district. We have people like Mike Tanner in our district. We have people like Amy Hunt. We have nothing to complain about in this district. It is simply amazing. And I wish rather than when we hit a speed bump in which people want to focus on, we need to see the bigger picture. We need to stop and we need to think. And yes, if there's a problem, we need to address the issue. But again, look at the district overall. It is simply amazing. And
when people say something to the fact that we need a reset with regard to the superintendent or with our school board, I wish people would understand how important to run for an office and sit on a school board is, and how difficult it is, and why many people don't choose to do it because of what happened here tonight. And not only that, how difficult it is to find a top-notch superintendent, which we have in this district. So I want to say thank you to each and every one of you, and not just to each of you, but to everybody in this school district that continues to provide our students with a top-notch education. Kudos to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Huh? Take my mask. I'm going to take my mask off so you guys can hear me. And I'm going to attempt not to get super emotional. But thank you, Petra, for ending with that, for Jimmy, for Kim, for the support up here. I am also a parent at Carly's. I have a 5th grade son at Carly's. So to ever question the fact that I would not want every child in every school in this district and every teacher safe is really hard for us to sit up here. I have had so many sleepless nights, as have all of us in the last 2 years, to ensure the safety and the health of our students. We are parents in this community. I have grown up in this community. We moved here, we choose to live here, and we choose to serve you all. And we want to assure you that we also want to make sure that everything is always moving forward in the most positive and healthy way for everybody. I was at every one of those health checks last week with the health department. I did multiple walks through at Trailside Elementary. I was at Jeremy, McPullen, and Ecker Hill today to ensure that if a mask mandate is to go in those locations, that we are 100% ready to go. It is hard when we sit up here and we do not, unfortunately, have the power to mandate masks. We do not have the power to put in test to stay. These are things that have come down from the state level. And we just want to, I applaud my other board members for doing the work and putting in the countless hours to ensure that, again, we are 60 days tomorrow into school. We made it 60 full days without having to shut down a school. Yes, we are human. Yes, things are sometimes not perfect, but we are 110% have the best intent of every one of our children and every one of our teachers and educators and admin and everybody in our buildings. That is our best intent, so that's where I'm going to leave it.
Thank you, Mary.
Yeah.
Welcome.
All right, can I get a motion? We'll move to closed session. The board may adjourn to closed session for the purpose of discussing the character, professional competence, or